Cullen live in 1 minute. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Hello, hello, hello.
Good morning.
And the party continues, this time with Tom Sokolowski. Welcome to the November 8th, 2012 edition of Lynn Cullen Live. And still can't wait.
Year one, day two, or whatever they say.
Yeah, right, of the rest of our lives.
Yes.
I still can't wipe the smile off my face. I'm still enjoying, which is something I rarely ever did, tuning into right-wing talk radio, Fox News. I'm almost starting to feel sorry. They don't understand because they live in this other reality, which is what we've said forever. And it's as if the world turned on them. And they really don't.
What's sad is the fact of had Mr. Romney won. I think it was 52 to 48 or 47 or something. So it was in a little nice lead, but it wasn't, overwhelming. They would have said, the nation has spoken.
Right.
Well, the nation spoke.
Yeah, it did.
So listen.
Right,
the nation spoke. Listen. And the thing is, I was talking to a Canadian friend, well, actually New Zealander living in Canada now. And I was saying, in our system, it basically is you are a representative from Western Pennsylvania, Squirrel Hill, the state of Pennsylvania. You listen, you have your own thoughts, ideas, but you listen to what your constituency wants and you vote with that. And I said there have been numerous times in my lifetime when if someone goes against their constituency in a major way, they're out the next term.
Well, right.
And so these conservatives, the nation has voted. So listen to us.
Yeah, you're scaring them is what you're doing. You're scaring them, you're disgusting them, and you're insulting them. You cannot. And here, it continues apace. Bill O'Reilly yesterday, and he tends to be actually of the kooks. He is less a kook than some of the others. Here's his words last night on Fox News. He said, he's trying to explain it to his audience. Obama wins because it's not a traditional America anymore. The white establishment is the minority. People want things. Now, explain that third sentence. People want things. That's part
the moochers and the makers.
That's right. They won't let that go. So it turns out that 47% that Romney referred to, what he was saying is speaking out loud what the absolute mindset is of the Republican Party, that half the country or anybody who votes for a Democrat is a moocher.
Yeah, right.
Well, you cannot. Republicans, if you want to win another popular national election, then you cannot offend the people,
especially the
in the way that you do,
who are the largest growing percentage of our nation,
well,
whether you like it or not, and that's a reality. What's interesting is I was just thinking, they say now, oh, that smelly Mumtaz Shirazi in her curries. That was said about Polish people at the turn of the century or Jewish people with their kishkas and whatever. Our nation is one of constant layers of immigrants. And to sort of deny it, I mean, it's just crazy. Justice saluting. Oh, there's a caller?
Oh, we have a call? Hello, caller. Go ahead, please.
Well, hello, Lynn. This is Michael from Palm Springs.
Hi, Michael.
Oh, Michael.
And I found that article that I mentioned on Tuesday. And segues perfectly with what you guys are talking about now. This was from Jonathan Friedland in The Guardian on Sunday from the UK.
Oh, I think I saw this too. Go for it.
This is the Republicans' existential problem. They have retreated ever deeper into an ideological logger, shaped by a narrow, nationally unrepresentative Christian right, until they have reached the point where anyone acceptable to them is unacceptable to the rest of the country.
That's right.
No, well put.
That's it. And
they have painted themselves into a corner.
Right.
And even when they throw their people under the bus, as they did Missouri and Indiana, they don't go far enough. They just give lip service anymore.
Right.
Well, and they're clearly not of one mind as you look at them, struggling to come to terms with this and why it is.
And well, actually, as he said, they get embarrassed, like the what was it, the legitimate rape people, they get embarrassed by those people. But they're not yet willing to excise them completely because they see that as votes.
Yeah. They're still part of that, the angry white voter.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's they've got it. You know what? They've got to venture out of their cocoon, or they're finished. They've got to come out and embrace this different America. You know, O'Reilly says it's not the traditional America. No, there was never a traditional. We're making tradition keeps changing. This is America.
Yeah, well, exactly.
It's
this came up in a conversation with a friend of mine who. They're not here legally, but have been here for quite some time, and they were talking about wanting to be an American. And I said, well, tell me, is your vision of what it is to be an American white? And he stopped for a moment and then immediately said, no, it is. Yeah, it is. And so he realizes that his ideal of what it is to be an American, he's never, ever going to achieve.
Well, but see, it's not the case because whites will very soon, in the blink of an eye, be a minority in this country. And yet, if you're
it happened.
Yes, if you're
Tuesday.
Okay, it did. Okay, if you're
no, I'm saying that the changes has begun.
Okay, if you're a white person, and when you see, let's say at a party or an event or this or that, an Asian person in the room, an Indian person in the room, a black person in the room, and the first thing that you think is, oh, I wonder where they're from, then do you understand? Then
yes, I do.
You need to, I don't know, you need to kick yourself.
Well, that's right.
Because Americans, and people like, this is ridiculous. America is not white. There are Asians and blacks and Indians and people that look like the entire world, and they're born here. Right. They are as American as you. Americans are not white.
Well, maybe
they're as American as a Chevrolet.
Well, maybe we can be like South Africa and have colors.
Oh, yeah, really.
And octoroons and quatrains.
So, I think it'll take... Younger people don't have this problem.
Right, exactly.
And so it's just a matter of another few generations literally dying off when we'll have an entire nation made up of people who've always looked around and seen this crazy quilt that is America.
Glorious mosaic, as David Dinkins said.
Well, actually...
The what mosaic?
David Dinkins, when he was mayor of New York, he always made the point that the problem with the melting pot is you take everything in and you melt it down and erases the wonderful specificity of culture and religion, whatever. So his was a glorious mosaic where the composite was beautiful, but when you looked at each mosaic chip,
that now.
you saw the gold and the red and next to the blue blue and they make a lovely purple, etc.
Well, and that's true. And the other thing is when you think melting pot, you sort of see everything melding into one. That's not it. Better to think more like vegetable soup.
But the only thing about that is, I think a very serious point about that is, there is a truth that especially post-50s, with the growth of the suburbs were the main place where melting pot worked. And you have kids today, well, even not so much my generation, but kids today who don't know like what they are. And you need cities where you have neighborhoods and enclaves and shtetls, whatever, to sort of say, yes, I'm an American, but
where you mix with other people, where you...
Well, it's interesting. Before, I was thinking, when, you travel the world and people will say to you, and I'm often saying, like, ooh, are you English? And I don't think I have an English accent by any means. But in this country, when someone says, oh, what are you? You'll say, oh, well, I'm Polish. It's so in our own country, we immediately say what our ethnic mix is.
We often do, but that's because we're proud of it.
Yeah, we're proud of it, right?
Right.
Well, on forms anymore where I have to fill in what is my ethnicity, I always mark other and write in European American.
Right, yeah.
Why can't it be that instead of Caucasian,
But you do know that a lot of Americans are frightened, people who don't get out as much as maybe some of us do. They're scared. They're scared. They don't recognize this, exactly. And so it's frightening
sadly
to
this
them.
year, one of my oldest, closest friends for, she's 30-plus years, who lives in Pittsburgh and shall remain nameless, has shown themselves as being somewhat racist, and I'm feeling white guilt for the first time in my life because of the things that this person is saying.
This is usually a 30-year-old person?
No, she's
no. I have known them for 30 years.
Well, I think
30-plus years.
Yeah. Well,
and I would give him the shirt off of my back if he needed it.
Okay. Well, that's not your guilt. That's not for you. You could certainly screw up the courage.
Send him a biography of Sammy Davis Jr.
Say something to him or something. Hey, we got to move on. We got so many people here.
Thank you.
Nice talking.
Love you. Bye.
Warm weather.
Elaine Boosler has written. She summed up the election thusly: "Vaginas beat assholes."
That's fabulous. That could be a T-shirt.
Yeah, I think it sort of sums it up.
Yeah, really.
But back to the poor Republicans living in their hermetically sealed universe, in their domed stadia, and their gated communities. and their segregated golf clubs and all of that. There's no you cannot live like that and appeal in every meaning of the word to the rest of the country.
Well, and it makes for, even amidst those people, and all Republicans obviously aren't horrible, but it makes for paranoia. The more you sort of are in an enclave and don't speak to the world around you, it makes for paranoia.
Yeah. So here's what, people are actually trying to be helpful to the Republicans, telling them, we're being helpful right now, if they would just listen. And here's Nicholas Kristof trying to be helpful in today's New York Times. And he's right on the money. Part of the problem, I think, is the profusion of right-wing radio and television programs. Democrats complain furiously that Rush Limbaugh, Glenn Beck, Sean Hannity smear the left. But I wonder if the bigger loser isn't the Republican Party itself. Those shows whip up a frenzy in their audience, torpedoing Republican moderates and instilling paranoia on issues like immigration. All this sound and fury and meshes the Republicans in an ideological cocoon and impedes it from reaching out to swing state centrists or even understanding them. And then he's, America is, and this is what they've just got to, you can be afraid of it and pretend it's not happening. America is changing. There is no such thing as traditional America. America is a constant reinvention. It's one of the things that has made us such a strong nation.
Well, or maybe it's not. Because in a funny way, because if you think back to what was like 18 60s New York, you had all of the English wanting to beat the shit out of the Irish who were coming in. So maybe it's not. The people are always maintaining those
Well, people have to fight. Yes, those that have power never want to give it up. Never want to surrender.
And have to see, there's a very interesting BBC show called Copper, which is about a policeman a British policeman somehow is in New York. I only watched one episode of it, and he's in this period of foment. And it's like, and they have to make that person who's different into enemy.
That's right.
Disease-ridden.
That's right.
Wanting to rape your daughter.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Now, I thought that one of the better metaphors came of what's happening to the Republicans came from a Republican, someone who gets it. And this guy was a political operative for George W. Mm-hmm. He was a campaign advisor. His name's Matthew Dowd. That name might ring a bell. And he said, I guess yesterday morning, trying to explain to his fellow Republicans, look, the Republican Party now is... He says, this is a changing America. I mean, get that through your head, which makes it a changing electorate. And the Republican Party is, great line, a madmen party in a modern family America. And it just doesn't fit anymore. Mad Men is the 60s, is the late 50s and the 60s. It's, women knowing their place. It's white men running things. It's everything. And that's, the Republicans are stuck there. Modern Family, I guess one of the more popular shows in the country right now, is about gays, blacks, whites, everybody living.
But to be fair, I've seen that show and I don't think it's that good. But how many families will you have? Two gay men who have adopted children, and the father of one of them or something.
Well, that's not the point.
No.
The point is it's a mix.
Well, I know, but I mean the country that is not normative for the country. I mean, that's all I'm trying to say is it was a metaphor. I know, but I think we have to be aware, though, that the country is centrist. It is not either terribly, terribly right-wing, nor is it wild, wacko liberal. And I think that's something that we all, even Democrats, have to reconcile to a certain sense with. I mean, because I still feel, if you ask me, I'm very glad I voted for him. Mr. Obama's back in, but as the sort of crazy left-wing whatever, I still am angry at him that he's never, for those of us who put him in the first place, he's not put any wild, wacko, lesbian, Yugoslavian person as Secretary of State. He's never given the real left something they want. It's always been sort of centrist. And I would like some wild, wacko...
You just said the country's centrist. Why would he put a wild, wacko, Yugoslavian, whatever the hell you said? What is the point of that?
Well, the point is to give a fish to part of the...
You don't do it by making somebody Secretary of State.
Well, maybe.
Oh, come on.
Well, but did you hear who they're probably going to make Secretary of State?
John Kerry.
I mean,
Oh, come on. He'll be an excellent Secretary of State. Jeez.
Oh, God, but Teresa's going to be flying around.
Okay, here, we've got a caller. We've got a call. Is this a gentleman caller? Hello? Hello?
Yes, I had a question for you and Tom. This may be a little bit change of pace, but they say there's 7 to 5 million jobs that are skilled labor jobs or skilled jobs in this country. How come the colleges and the technical schools aren't pushing courses in this to get these jobs filled? I mean, we got the jobs there. Why aren't we filling them? It doesn't make sense to me, but
sir, you have a very important point.
Thank you.
Because what they're finding is that, nowadays when young people go to university, particularly, or even some of these, like trade universities, colleges, they all want, because it seems cool and hip, that they want to be some sort of computer expert. And we have more people than we need. And it seems somehow déclassé or demeaning to be a carpenter. Well, I was raised by someone who was a
But
house
that's not
painter.
what he's asking.
No, but it is. No, because the question is...
He's talking about those high-tech jobs that American...
No, he said trade schools. I mean, he mentioned that. What about trades and what have you? And I think there are a lot of the jobs that are being filled are being filled from people from other countries who are willing to be
not what I heard.
a plumber. Well, I think
What'd
that's
you
what
hear,
he
Jess?
said.
He was asking why schools like Pitt, for example,
Yeah.
don't offer more.
The
Classes.
trade-related things, not...
Trade-related?
Yeah.
Well, because that's not what a university is for. The trades. There should be
these
What
trade
happened to
schools.
vocational schools?
Well, vocational schools. But I mean, my God, a good boot black. And I'm not saying everyone should be a boot black. No, but if someone has a good trade, a tailor. I mean,
okay, a boot black is not.
Well, all right, maybe, all right, I'll take that back. But I mean, a good tailor. A good whatever. I mean, these are highly skilled jobs that in cities people get paid very much for.
Okay, here's a question. The reality is, and I just want to put this in, it seems to me, as I just sort of look around, most of the jobs that are being created in America today are crap. Okay? That's my sense. Most of the jobs, first of all, a lot of them are not full-time.
Sure.
A lot of them do not have benefits.
Right.
A lot of them would not you couldn't make a living wage. And so when they trumpet, this many jobs, a lot of these jobs are crap. They're in the so-called service sector.
Oh, sure.
They're jobs that do not pay much, that do not require skill. And so this sense that everybody's got to have a college education, the fact is there's this whole underbelly of jobs.
Well, a friend has just moved to Los Angeles, and he's noted that he drives around with his wife, and when he first got there, he drove her to work one day, and they noticed on certain corners there would be a large group of Latinos standing there.
Well, they're waiting for work.
These landscapers come on, you. But you don't, no benefits, no health care.
No, and a lot of
Americans will take those jobs.
No, but a lot of Americans do have those jobs in different ways. Americans are working under the table. Americans are working as wait staff and then turning around and working as a daycare worker and then turning around and working as These jobs don't pay much of anything.
No,
and the shame is that anybody who works, and those jobs, that's work,
no, of course
should be compensated in a manner in which they can live with a measure of dignity.
Exactly.
And it's as simple as that. Now, let's get to the big question. Was Diane Sawyer drunk?
I didn't see her. What was she
doing? My God!
Where was this, on the news?
On the election night.
Oh, I didn't see her.
Jess, did you see her?
I read stuff about
No, you got to see it.
I didn't see it.
Now, what, anybody?
She was drunk throughout the whole broadcast?
Yes, and really? I mean, I didn't watch ABC, but then when I saw this, was she drunk? I looked it up. She sure as hell looked drunk.
Really?
Looked drunk, sounded drunk, acted drunk.
Wow.
Now, I have to tell you that she has been, throughout her career, the consummate professional. So it was mind-blowing to see.
Funny. Wow. That's funny.
Anybody see that? It's unbelievable. And I don't know what they're saying. She was tired. Tired looks like I talked to my sister about it last night, and Susan said, tired looks like one thing.
Yes.
And drunk looks like another.
Looks like another.
And it looked drunk.
Maybe it's Diane Sawyer call.
Hello.
Hello. I wanted to chime in on Diane Sawyer. I didn't see it live, but I saw it online afterwards, and she looked drunk.
Drunk. I agree. What else? What does that look like? And she sounded
drunk. Or on drugs.
Well, drugs are drunk, but she was...
Yeah, but drugs don't tend to give you the same
Well, but
slurring.
she was like, I don't know. And her body language, she was like, and I...
Was she with a co-anchor?
She was with poor George Stephanopoulos, who was, who was sitting there looking at her, with this, his, plastic grin on his face.
He looked dumbfounded.
I don't...
what he was doing.
What are you going to... And let's go. Oh, where's the music? We need the music. Oh, we don't have the music.
My God.
And it was really pretty...
we'll have to go home and watch YouTube.
It was... I can't believe it. Okay, you say drunk, I say drunk.
I started watching the clips online, and I was like, wow.
Yeah, no, thanks. Thank you. That was my sense, too.
No, seriously, you say she has been always nonpareil, and also someone who's that much of a professional. If a young kid was nervous or something, it's one thing.
Right. And a woman I know very well, who is her agent, says, and has always told me, Diane Sawyer is like She's smart as a whip. She's a nice person. She's the best. I mean, she just raves about her. Because I had once said, I don't really like Diane Sawyer. She said, let me tell you, if you met her, if you guys could go to lunch, you would love her.
Isn't she the one? Is she the one?
She went off with Nixon. She went off with Nixon. Remember?
Oh, I don't remember that.
She was a beauty queen.
Oh.
She has a very and she's married to Mike Nichols.
Well, she's a real smart cookie.
Yeah, she's a very.
Well, let's hope, knock on wood, there wasn't some horror like she found out her mother was dying or something like that. I mean, which could make you drink.
Well, but unbelievable.
People are human, no matter how professional they are. People are human.
I know, but the biggest night of the.
Well, I know, but
pull yourself off, or I'm surprised the producer didn't.
Well, yeah, I mean,
but that might have made a bigger thing. The two big meltdowns, everybody's yep about on the air is Karl Rove and Diane Sawyer.
They should have put them together.
Oh God. God.
One thing I was thinking about before when you were talking about, Republicans aren't what they used to be, et cetera, et cetera. Two thoughts. One, it's very interesting. Someplace, I vaguely remember this a year ago or so, someone did a survey about particularly these shock jocks and the amount of accidents they thought they caused because people are driving and getting and can't immediately call or whatever. And, if
they're
someone stops
they also are getting more aggressive. Yeah.
Number one. Number two is I just wonder what is, and you're much more politically astute than I am, what is the steps one must take, and this might be an interesting time to do it, to try to create new parties or recreate what the Republicans are, what the Democrats are, and maybe those parties don't matter anymore.
Well, there's never been a successful third party in our nation's history. I'll just put it that way.
Well, but
it's daunting, and the way election laws. Okay, yes, that's right. But the way election laws are written in most states, even getting on the ballot, is difficult. So it's extremely difficult. The more likely scenario is an internal reworking, that it would have to come from the inside out of the Republican Party.
Well, and at that point, maybe the real conservatives say, well, this ain't us anymore. We're going to file the...
Well, they're going to have to battle. Because there's a whole bunch of them that are saying, and you can read their stuff all over the internet. They haven't backed down one iota. The world is, it's them against the world. Mm-hmm. They will not compromise. They will not compromise their principles. This, Keith Rothfuss, who just got elected out of here, is part of that end of the party. Yes, and so he's, Western Pennsylvania sent another one of these characters off to prevent anything from getting done. And then the American people turn around and say they don't approve of Congress because it's not doing anything. Right. Well, if you send people there whose sole platform is, I ain't going to compromise unless I get my way.
Sure.
Did we ever take a break? No. Who's counting? I am. We got to take a break. Okay? Be right back.
More is on the way with Lynn Cullen Live.
Winter has arrived and it's cold outside, so get to Little's for all your UGG needs. Little's has Uggs for men, women, and children to stay warm with shearling-lined boots, shoes, and slippers. And don't forget to get your hats, gloves, scarves, and more. All available at Little's Shoes. Bring the entire family to view one of the largest in-store UGG shops in the U.S. Little's Shoes, Pittsburgh's largest family shoe store, 5850 Forbes Avenue in Squirrel Hill.
Pittsburgh City Paper is available now. Pick up one today for a closer look at City Theater's South Side stories. Plus, Lisa Marie Presley, Chicago, Led Zeppelin, and News of the Weird. Pittsburgh City Paper available at over 1,700 locations throughout Western Pennsylvania and on the web at pghcitypaper.com and on your smartphone at citypapermobile.com.
You're listening to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Once again, here's Lynn Cullen.
Okay, I was just trying to get the video up of Sawyer, but for some reason, why aren't I finding video? I'm just finding... I thought
just this little frozen image of her looks a little stewed.
Yeah, but that doesn't do it.
No,
and it's not as if... there it is. Okay. See if you can hear this. It's more... I think the body language gives it away more than anything. But here, I'm going to play it, okay? Mm-hmm. At least part. Oh, no, advertisement. Don't get that off.
Oh, there.
Okay, here it is.
Standing by Rahm Emanuel right now, bringing him in. He's smiling. He is smiling big.
Can we get this up at all?
I haven't smiled in a week.
You've talked to the president. You were on the tarmac to meet him when he landed in Chicago. Tell us what they're saying inside his room where the family's gathered.
Meetings of this election.
No, this.
Thank you for coming on today. The mayor.
Okay.
Thanks a lot, Mayor. We'll talk to you soon.
I'm sorry.
We want to go back to Florida right now. We now have 87% of the precincts.
Since early this summer,
they're not showing the really good stuff here. Wait a minute. What? Well, we're not. They're showing guys. We want Sawyer, you nitwits. Here, maybe this is something. This is not the thing I saw.
Almost half a year.
So many of those congressional seats are so safe.
No.
I want to go back out and see if we can put up side by side David Muir and Jake Tapper, because I do think it's always interesting to imagine being in each of those rooms right now and feeling the mood of the room, see if we can see it, see if we can hear it. And Jake Tapper, if you're there...
No, they're not showing this.
It looks so bad here. Maybe
no, they're not showing it. Whatever. What I saw last night were definite. It's not like, it's so not her. It's so not...
But it's not Vitamin Benjamin either.
No, I don't know, but let's just say
word will out,
that a whole bunch of people over got the same thing. What's wrong with her? Is she drunk? Is she drugged? Mini stroke, somebody said.
Oh, dear.
She should get checked out by doctors right away because maybe she had a stroke. This guy was serious when he wrote that.
Well, no, I've noticed that people that sometimes when it's a mini stroke, you can be very
that's right.
sort of garbled, and that's awful.
Right. So who the hell knows? But I haven't seen ABC putting anything out on it. Maybe they're trying to
well, and also
disregard.
If it was a stroke, that's the last thing. Well, I suppose better a stroke than being drunk because one is not her fault.
Yeah. Here's evidence of why everyone thought Diane Sawyer was shit-faced on air last night.
I love that expression.
Oh, boy. Okay, so what else we got? I got something else here. Still more, election stuff. They were rioting in Mississippi. Did you see that?
No, you had mentioned that when I walked in. No, I didn't even hear about this.
Well, I don't want to slur the entire
state.
Once it became apparent that Obama had won, a crowd of about 400 people on the University of Mississippi campus were shouting racial slurs, burning Obama, yard signs. Wonder where they found one in Mississippi. The incident comes just after the 50th anniversary of the violent rioting that greeted the enrollment of the first black student, James Meredith.
Right.
And the chancellor has promised an investigation and said, all of us are ashamed of these students who have negatively affected the reputations of each of us and our university. Police were called.
Wow.
As far as they know, one person was charged, whatever. So they say they can't say what people were saying because it's not something you can say.
Not objects of Southern gentility.
No, apparently not.
How awful.
Lo and behold, California voters statewide approved raising their own taxes.
Mm-hmm.
And they did it to save their education system.
Right.
And at the same time, the red state voters of Arizona nixed a tax of, get this, 1 penny on a dollar to save their schools. That 1 penny on $1 would have gone to education.
Well, one thing I immediately think about that is here you have Arizona where everyone is 87 years old or older, so they don't really care. And, California, you have a young, burgeoning state, and they know how important education is.
Well, Arizona's got a lot of young people, but I guess a lot of them, they're brown.
And they're brown, right?
They're brown.
Exactly.
Caller? They hung up. Sorry. Also, these pot measures that passed.
Oh, right.
This is going to be interesting to see how that plays out, because if you have a state, it would be as if two states during Prohibition said, you can drink here.
Well, that's what the governor
and I don't
said.
think anyway.
He said, the federal law trumps state law in this point.
It depends on how much the feds are going to bother dealing with this, because what they've done is say you can have an ounce of marijuana for your own consumption. You can grow some for your own. How the hell, unless you start deploying people, feds everywhere, busting into people's houses, I don't see how you.
We talked about this last night. And what's interesting.
Well, I'll get a caller in first.
Okay,
Tom.
fine.
Go ahead,
please.
We
also got another thing in California that we did that was kind of sad, I thought. But two of our propositions dealt with criminal justice. And it was about 65% of the people say that it is okay for the state to murder people, to prove that killing people is wrong, which, upholding the death penalty. And also, we also decided not to change the 3 strikes law so that if a person gets a third conviction for jaywalking, they're going to go to jail for the rest of their lives.
That's too bad.
I would think that California would have been a little bit more, and that rate of it just disappointed me. And that's all.
That really is. I mean, it's
then we got rid of Mary Mack, Bono Mack.
Pardon me?
So that was a good thing.
What?
But we got rid of Mary Bono Mack. That was a very highly contested race
Well,
here.
and and I think you're about to get rid of also that Dan Lundgren.
Yes.
Which is good. Mary, that was, what's his name? Sonny Bono's wife, widow. And then she married Connie Mack, representative of Florida. Who are
both now unemployed.
Who are both now unemployed because he just got beat trying to head up to the Senate. So they're both. Can you imagine? They're both out of work.
I'm going to take up a collection for them. Some canned goods or something.
Send them a box of Cheerios for their morning breakfast.
I would not worry.
All right.
Them. Okay. Hey,
Shalom.
thanks. Appreciate it. Bye. Ray's got a cautionary word. Lynn and Tom, although I'd love to burst the bubbles of illusion about the U.S. being so white and Christian and wonderful, we need to be careful not to replace them with equally delusional bubbles of our unique degradation. We did not invent apartheid, indentured service, Ausländer verboten, sexual slavery, contempt for the poor, no dogs are Irish, our country right or wrong, might makes right. We just imported them. Tom is right. We are neither Ozzie and Harriet, nor are we the Modern Family. We are like the rest of the world, dealing with the best we can do with the inevitable wheel of change. Embrace it. Okay, all right. I do not disagree. He's just saying not get all. No,
well, his point is basically that sometimes, and it's a vicious circle, that in this American world of anyone can make it, etc. Often these entrepreneurs, let's call them, sexual slave people, they're going to make money, and people are dying to come here.
Well, I think he's just saying,
they can.
Humanity is humanity.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I mean, and there's a lot of bad stuff that goes on too, right?
Yeah, exactly. What I was trying to say before the caller came in, at the dinner party last night, we were talking about the fact of how will this marijuana thing, over and above the legality, federal versus state versus civic, another aspect of that is what is that going to do to criminal sales of drugs, because I'm sure drug lords are not going to be happy about this. And
no, they will not. So it definitely
out?
Harms them. And they were saying that Canada is concerned because of there's a I guess, a pretty good drug trade going from Canada into Washington State.
Oh, really?
And so Washington State doing this is going to actually have an economic impact on Canada.
Oh, how funny.
There are increasing calls in Canada now to legalize pot there. This is another thing that again, it seems to me inexorable. Slower than the gay rights, but clearly starting to come on. Where, I mean, I would think just from a libertarian perspective, people would embrace this. Come on.
Well, look, I mean, how much of the
on.
violence stopped during the Depression when liquor came back in?
Do you know how many people are in our prisons because of marijuana?
Yeah,
Marijuana.
Right.
It's ridiculous. It's as benign a drug. It's more benign than alcohol.
Yeah, no,
It is.
It is.
It is. It's more benign than any other drugs you can name. It is the most benign. And we continue to destroy lives by criminalizing it.
Right.
We also continue to criminalize 30% of the population, including me. I mean, I don't know.
What do you mean?
I've smoked marijuana.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, who hasn't? Carl Rolfe hasn't. Oh, no.
Oh, no, I bet he has.
Well,
it is
probably.
rare
It is,
to
yes,
bump
no,
into
it's rare.
anybody.
It's true, yeah.
It's rare.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness.
Ridiculous.
The airwaves are going wild.
Hello, caller, hi.
Hello, this is Beth calling, Lynn.
Hi.
Maybe Diane Sawyer was smoking some in between the segments then.
She didn't seem stoned. She seemed
No,
drunk.
I was thinking mini stroke and all, honestly.
Were you? Oh,
yeah,
God,
I was
hope
watching.
not. Oh, God.
Friends were telling me, so I went and looked at it yesterday. But I call it 2 Election Day stories, which I wanted to share. One, there was nothing like celebrating the election like going to a Madonna concert.
Is that did you go?
I did, and during the concert, she announced midway through, because of course she started incredibly late. She said, "Just want to announce that Barack Obama has won the presidency." People started to cheer, and said, "I'm glad that we elected a president who cares about all people." That's all she said. I mean, for Madonna, I hate to say it, it's relatively tame.
Yes,
Yeah.
After she said that, I would say in the section we were in, about 40 people began storming out of the concert.
Really?
Yelling at the top of their lungs. One woman said, "Great, now my job is gone because of him being hired." And some other guy started shouting, "I came here to be entertained, not hear a political lecture from you." And
wow.
I have to say, it was really scary. I mean, these people were absolutely off their rocker. And these are people in their late 30s, 40s.
These
50s.
are people at a Madonna concert.
That's the other thing too. Look at the concert you're in, and I mean, the fact that she didn't burn Mitt in effigy or something like that you kind of expected, or a Mitt bustier, I don't know. But
that would look like.
it was just really, it really scared us, because to hear
really.
the commotion yet still in the back of these people. I mean, you would have thought, shouting, they elected the communists.
Really? Wow.
And the only thing I could say is these people reacted like cranberryites, and they were told that the Walmart just closed. Another story is a friend of mine who is Muslim, is not practicing in a sense, doesn't wear a burqa, doesn't wear the tabat, any of that. And she was honest, saying that she was going to vote for Romney. She got to the polling place where she's at, and when she saw Romney people handing out the polling cards. As she got closer, they all hid the polling cards behind their back and refused to give her one.
Oh, how funny.
At that point, she said, "I am voting Obama."
Right.
Why was she going to vote for Romney in the first place?
I think it was more so of a financial thing because of the family and, saying that. But just to have that reaction to someone who was of a different skin color.
Well, I suspect they assumed, looking at her, she wasn't one of us. She isn't one of us, so she must be one of them.
It's just like saying, why are there log cabin Republicans, gay people? Why can black people be, for Romney? I mean, I think it just shows you, well, I don't either on a very superficial level, but there are complexities in people's lives.
That's right.
And for them to say, we don't want a Muslim. Well, there may be, 100,000 votes that were lost because of that kind of demeanor.
Well, and again, that was actually I hate to say it, it worked out great, but at the same time, too,
the result, sure.
it goes. It's an ongoing thing to a prejudice. There does need to be a recalling and of what that party's becoming.
Well, if you look at the data, every women, Obama got. Women, he got Hispanics, he got Muslims, he got Jews, he got Hindus, he got atheists, he might have even won among Christians for all I know. He got something that looks like America, and all Romney got were a bunch of white men and some of their handmaidens.
Well, but no, come on.
What do you mean?
No, but let's be fair. I think if you would look and say, yeah, that's true. I agree with all that. But if you would look and say, like, African Americans who went to Harvard, own companies, and are millionaires, I'm sure most of them voted for Romney.
I doubt it.
I would like to
doubt
see
it.
those.
I know tons of millionaires who vote Democratic and wouldn't think to do otherwise.
Well,
if you walk around the East End in Pittsburgh, I love it. Those huge homes, huge homes, which have to be owned by millionaires, have to be owned. They're Romney's. They're not Romney's. There's Obama signs in front of them.
Well, I still stand by what I said.
Obama.
I still stand by what I said.
I don't know. I think it's very mixed. And one quick question I just want to throw into the mix. Do you think that Reid should be kicked out or would like to have him replaced as Senate Majority Leader?
I can't stand him, but you know what?
I really think there has to be new blood in there.
There isn't going to be.
I would love to see one of the women.
I wouldn't.
The thing is, this morning I just saw the headline, but it says conciliatory words from leaders amid talk of cabinet shakeup. Well, if they're going to shake up the cabinet, why mightn't they shake up?
Well, that's not for that. The executive branch is the cabinet shake-up. The legislature.
But how is
the Senate decides itself whether or not.
But if the president would say
no, Senate doesn't. It don't work that way.
But I think he is the head of the party. Can make a statement
yes, of course.
Behind closed doors.
Yes, of course you can.
Look, you got Reid and McConnell. Somebody mentioned the other day the two of them were on 60 Minutes together, and how they look like those two old guys.
They look like Statler and Waldorf
from the Muppets. That's exactly what they look like.
Right.
And again, these old white men, step aside.
Right.
Step aside. I am sick of it.
Yeah, and they don't see themselves as the problem.
No, they definitely do not.
No. But thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
Have a wonderful day.
You too. Bye. Jesus. All you old white men?
Shut up. I'm 62. So shut up. Another call. My goodness.
Go ahead, caller.
Oh, sorry. I was coughing right in your ear. This is Clarence from Canonsburg.
Clarence is not an old white man. He's an old man of color.
What did I say a long time ago? Melanin enhanced.
Yeah, right. Yeah, melanin enhanced.
She was talking. The caller before me was talking about her Muslim friend going to vote, and I had just got through reading a really good. I think it's a blog post. A guy named Randy on the Royals, I think it's called, but it's called The GOP and Me. It's a Muslim who was a Republican, and he thinks why they lost all the Muslims, and he writes it's a really good blog post. It's long, and I was so intrigued by it. I read the whole thing in one sitting, and then came to your show. I said, "Oh, look, I'm almost too late for her show." It's a really good post.
You could have read that at any time, and missed the program.
It's really long. I thought it was just going to be one of those little short things, but man, it was long. He starts out talking about his parents come over to this country, and they were all Republicans. They moved, they turned to Republicans until Republicans basically rejected them. Now it's got me interested on how other minorities like Asians and Indians and all that stuff, and I'm interested in seeing because they tend to be Republican thinking.
Entrepreneurial is what they tend to be. However,
but then the Republicans reject them.
However, that's right. They've actually Asians, and that includes Indians, and Asians voted for Obama at a higher rate than Hispanics. So this idea that just because you're in America and you're making money and you've got living the American dream makes you a Republican, that is a bunch of Republican brainwash hooey.
Exactly. Now, I think with Asians, because Asians have that, the Asians that I know, very, we're all in this together attitude.
Right.
Yeah.
They have a sense, a more communal sense.
Yes.
Right. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank
Okay,
you.
I'm gonna post a link on your website to that article because it's really good.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you. And a quick email from Ray, and then we got to get our second break in. Lynn, I would so love to arm us against the constant claim on the right that we liberals want to take money, yes, from the hardworking entrepreneurial class. I am part of the remaining manufacturing industrial contracting industry. And let me assure everyone that hard work is not unique to the successful upper class. It's not even necessary. The thing more in common among them is being born white and with a penis. The hardest working people I have ever met have been the least white, least successful, but the most admirable. And I would always prefer to stand among these poor rather than the self-congratulatory rich. I tip my hat to you, Ray. I couldn't have said it better myself.
Ray, we should nominate you.
There
you
is
should be
truth.
On the editorial board of the
There is truth. The hardest working people in this country are the poor people. They're riding the bus.
Exactly.
That's right. That's right. And the self-congratulatory rich, as you describe them, should get a clue. They make me sick. We're taking a break.
Stick around for more with Lynn Cullen live after this.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we've got a pep talk that can motivate you.
Sometimes things don't always turn out the way you want them to.
You can improve your future. Now get your game face on and take the first step towards a better life. Hurry up. Don't make me repeat myself.
Whatever level of motivation you need, we've got a pep talk for you. Call 1-877-38-YOUR-GED or visit yourged.org for your pep talk and for free classes in your area. GED is a registered trademark of the American Council on Education. Brought to you by Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Go to BurkeBargains.com for great deals on the 2012 Best of Pittsburgh winners. This week, get discounts on the Carnegie Museum of Natural History, the Pittsburgh Opera's Don Giovanni, Chicago at Heinz Hall, Dozens, and the Harris Grill. BurkeBargains.com, Pittsburgh's e-commerce mall. BurkeBargains.com.
Now, it's back to Lynn Cullen live at pghcitypaper.com.
Are we on now?
Oh, I just want to say we are. And Ray, the subject line of Ray's last message was sorry for another email. Ray, this goes out to you. You are never to apologize for sending an email because Tom wants to put you on the Post-Gazette editorial board. I want to say
maybe
that
make you mayor, Ray.
No, you're an extremely
articulate,
valued member of this particular little community that meets here at 10.
Now, can we get off of politics for a minute? Because I have something important. At least I think it's important.
Okay, go for it.
Which is the city of Pittsburgh sent out, it's literally about 2 years ago, a RFP asking people to...
What's an RFP?
Request for proposals. Part of that jargon thing, which was to propose a plan to create a design/art program for the city of Pittsburgh. And I was, in the case of transparency, I was with one architectural firm. We didn't win, but that's beside the point. They picked an aggregate of an architectural firm, an artist, and I think a marketing agency. And they now are going to have the first of a series of meetings which are going to be, I believe, on the 14th, 15th, and 16th of this month, so next week. And there will be meetings on each of those 3 dates at 2 sites, one in the north side, one in the east end, one in the South Hills, I think. And it's going to be presenting some of the issues that they want to bring to the fore and to ask people, what do you want? And the idea of this design and art plan, something that Pittsburgh hasn't had and many cities do have, is do we want a park on every third street corner? Do we want public sculpture and murals? Do we want a voice in the kind of public art that is placed in our neighborhood, so it's reflective of our neighborhood? And going back to that metaphor of the glorious mosaic, do we want a dog run every mile. So I highly recommend that you look into this. If you just look on either the City of Pittsburgh site under Plan Pittsburgh or just planpittsburgh.org, I guess, or maybe .gov. I don't know exactly. And I'm sure there'll be things in the paper coming up. But the more from someone who comes from that nonprofit art world, the more we hear from the people, just as we heard from the people in the election, the more this plan will be something that will be useful to beautify, as Lady Bird said years ago, America, but make Pittsburgh a more commodious city in which to live.
Do these, this is the cynic in me, do these professionals who will be sitting up there actually listen to some
one of them
comes through the door
one is
like
a
me?
woman whose name I can't remember now, who is born and bred as a Pittsburgher, I think Wexford or Cranberry or something, but she's been out in Los Angeles for. I worked with her for the art that we put into the convention center. I can't remember, I'll think about her name, but also the artist she chose, and you'll like this, Lynn, is John Rubin of the Conflict Cafe and the Waffle House.
Waffle House.
And he's very good about making art that deals with community and community response. So I think in case of both of these two, I would strongly think that they would be so. They just don't want plop art, like put an Andy Warhol on the side of your building. That's not what they want.
Okay, they want art that is integral
reflective, and maybe a water fountain for dogs, for dogs to be able to, something like that. But that people, if they say a lot of people have dogs in Edgewood, maybe why can't some kind of dog-related park be there?
Yeah, there should be more dog-related parks, I do think. Well, that's good. Okay, so
do avail yourself there in the evening. I think all of them in the evening. And I say there's 2 sites per day, but you can find that under Plan Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Under the city's website.
Okay. Thank you for that. And then back to the election quickly, because I do want to point out that it's interesting. All that money. Because of Citizens United, all those super PACs. Karl Rove was the biggie. Sheldon Adelson gave the Koch brothers, Koch.
The Koch brothers.
Koch brothers. And get this, Sheldon Adelson, of the 8 candidates he supported with tens of millions, who's counting, of his own money, not a single one was victorious.
Now that's Schadenfreude of the best sort.
That is absolutely the best. And it says here that yesterday some of these deep-pocketed gazillionaires who had poured more than $300 million into just 2 of the outside groups founded by Karl Rove.
Yeah.
300 million just that Karl Rove was dealing with.
Well, the horrible thing.
They got next to nothing for for all that money, and he said he was telling them, look, without all that money, the race would not have been as close as it was. So when they tried to say that this was a squeaker, well, you can bet that money had an impact, but not it's
not
just
enough.
Amazing that it did.
Well, to me, I was talking with friends last night about this. I mean, even Obama, now his was not PAC money. Well, some of it was, I'm sure. But, that he spent $1 billion. They probably spent $2 billion. When you think of the work and the money that is needed for reparations after Sandy, I mean, that money could have, all it did was make ad agencies and the radio stations, TV stations rich.
That's right. That's all it did.
That's sickening.
It was a redistribution of wealth from the rich to some other rich. That's all it was.
Well, all right, fine, yeah.
And I heard somebody say, I think it was Brian Williams say, all this money that they're making at these TV stations in Ohio, man, I hear they're going to be hiring reporters, and they're gonna, they're gonna have better weather centers, and I'm
prettier
thinking,
weather girls.
And I'm thinking that is such bull.
Yeah.
When these huge corporations that own all these radio and TV stations now get this money, they don't put it back in.
No,
they
just
pocket it.
They buy Mercedes.
They pocket it, folks.
But it's just so silly. And so much of it was based, as it always is, on lies and sleaziness. And but it is shocking. It really, really, really is shocking. All that money, billions of dollars, when people and all these poor people, I just got school now got a whammy last night with wishy snow and awful.
Linda McMahon of World Wrestling fame, she, in her attempt to become a senator from Connecticut, she tried 3 years ago.
A lady wrestler lives in Connecticut?
No, she owns the world. You don't know about McMahon?
No.
Linda McMahon. Her husband is Vince McMahon. No, but she's the brains behind it. She's the...
Oh, that's why she spent all the money, but she lost, yeah.
She, in the last 4 years, trying twice for this Senate seat in Connecticut, has spent over $100 million of her own dollars.
Oh, isn't that sad?
Well, it's her.
Well, it's her money.
Her money. But yes, isn't it sad?
I could go to, she could build a university. She could build a hospital for, children.
For all that, for the wrestlers that have died and been maimed in her employ.
You go, girl.
God almighty. Well, okay. I guess that's it.
Well, the world is safe, at least for another 4 years.
No, it's not.
Well, no, it's not. It's in a better position. Yes,
it's safer.
But it's never been safe.
And Mittens is going back to one of his homes and licking his wounds. He lost every state in which he has a residence. To know him is not to love him.
Yeah, really.
And that be that.
Maybe you can go and baptize a few more dead people.
All right, that was a gratuitous anti-Mormon swipe.
No, well, because most of the serious Mormons don't do it, but yes, to have people know about. There was something in the paper about things we still don't know about Mormons, but there's this opportunity that if someone, it could be, let's say, a Jewish person who died.
Well, they do. They've done this to all these poor Holocaust survivors who died because they were Jews, and then they go and baptize them.
But the only thing is, I did read this, that person, ridiculous. Wherever they may be in the ionosphere, they can choose to take the baptism or not.
Okay. Well, you know what? Do you know what? Anyone who believes any of this is out of their cotton-picking mind.
Right.
And I baptize you and say goodbye.
And she's a priestess of the highest order.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.